All right, so now we're getting to actually the meat, the actual usefulness when it comes to all this series stuff that we've been learning. And it's actually using a Maclaurin and polynomial series. Okay, so what we're using is, can we create a polynomial that will approximate an exact function? And I give you a demonstration of it this here. So here is sine of x, okay? This is the line y equals x right here. And as you can see, like the red is the sine of x, and this is y equals x. It approximates it well, but eventually it will begin to diverge, right? So eventually, like if you zoomed in here, like this straight line looks pretty good for that sine of x, but then it will deviate. If you add in more terms, like 3 terms, go to like a third degree polynomial, for example, then this green curve, well, again, it approximates the actual sine curve reasonably well. And as I increase the number of terms, it gets closer and closer to approximating. The purple one is with 5 terms, a polynomial of degree 5. And then like the black one here is a polynomial of degree 7. As you can see, it approximates the sine curve, which is red, pretty well. Like it does a pretty good job with it. And so that's the whole idea, is that we can construct a power series. This is an infinite series where the function, the polynomial function, will look closer and closer to the exact function. And this is kind of the formula for it. It's the sum from n equals 0. And what you do is you take the nth derivative at 0 divided by n factorial and x to the n, where this is like the function. So for example, for sine of x, f of x would be like sine of x. And then this infinite series would approximate that function, okay? Maclaurin series is very similar, except you don't evaluate it at 0. It's centered. It's basically saying if I shifted everything and centered it not at 0, but at some other point, like that. It's like kind of like right shifting all of this by a. I center it at another point, then we can construct another polynomial. Maclaurin is literally the same as a Taylor, but with a equals 0. So it's like if a equals 0, then you end up with a Maclaurin series instead of a Taylor series. Okay, so that's the whole idea. That's what we're going to do. And now there's ways to generate the series and try to come up with a general term for the series. So we'll go through some simple examples of how we generate a Taylor or a polynomial series based off of the function itself. So now we're going to look at some parametric equations. And so parametric equations are a really useful tool. And if you continue in calculus, you're going to be doing a lot of this kind of stuff if you do multivariable and everything like that. So the way you want to think of it is x and y aren't directly related. They're related by an independent parameter t. Okay? And so you want to think of x and y, like different t values will give you a value for x and a value for y. So let's make a table here. When t is -3, the x value is given by -3 squared, which is 9. 9 plus -3 is 6. The y is given by 1 minus -3 squared, which that's 1 minus 9. That's -8. Then -2, do the same thing. That's going to be 4 minus 2. That's 2. 1 minus -2 squared is 4, so 1 minus 4 is -3. When t is -1, x will be -1 squared, which is 1, minus 1 is 0. And when t is -1, it'll be 1 minus 1, because -1 squared is, so that's going to be 0. And then when it's 0, x will be 0, y would be 1. 1 would be 1 plus 1, that's 2. 1 minus 1 is 0. At 2, it would be 4 plus 2, that's 6, and then 1 minus 4, -3, and then when t is, say, 3, it would be 9. 9 plus 3 is 12, and then 1 minus 9 is -8. And so then, to plot it, you just look at all the xy pairs that I have, right? I'm just going to plot the ones near here, because the ones that are further away are kind of hard to... So I have a 0, 0, I have a 0, 1 here, I have a 2, 0, like this. I have a 2, -3, so like down here. I have a 6, -3. So it looks like kind of, so 6, -8, it's like way down over here, for example. So it's going to go like this if I go in order from t going from -3 to -2. It's going to go like, oops. Actually, which way did it go? It went through this point, then it goes through 0, 0, then it will come here, then it will go here, then it will go to 6, negative 3. So, like over here. And then 12, negative 8. I don't know. It looks something like that. And that would be the direction of the shape. Something to that effect. Looks like that. Okay, so that's kind of how you want to think about it. Now, how do I indicate the arrow is usually I draw the arrow in increasing t. So I go through the points that are increasing t. So there's a direction associated with parametric equations. Okay, so let's look at number 2. Same thing, I have negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So I'm going to make a table of x, y, and t. And let's go from increasing t. Let's start at negative pi over 2. Let me see. Negative pi over 2 is down here. So I could do, I don't know, negative pi over 4. Then 0. Then say pi over 4. And then pi over 2. Like that might be an easier way. So x is always going to be 1. Look at this. X is always the same value. And y is going to be based on the cosine. So 3 times the cosine, that's 0. 3 cosine of negative pi over 4. Cosine negative pi over 4 is root 2 over 2. So that's 3 root 2 over 2. Cosine of 0 is 1. So this is going to be 3. And then this is going to be also 3 root 2 over 2. And then 0. So my graph is going to start at 1, 0. We'll pick that about there. We'll make that 1, 0 here. Then root 3, like 1.5 times root 2, that's like 2. That's about like 2 or so. So it's going to be 1, 2, like around there. Then 1, 3. Then back down to all the way down there. So it's going to go like this and then come right back down the same way. So it's going to be this. It's going to go up and then down. So it's just going to be a vertical line because the x value is constant. So the y is the only one changing. Okay. All right, so x, y, t again. T, we're going to go negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2, because that's the range of t that they're given. X is given by t squared, so t squared is just going to be 4, 1, 0, 1, 4. Y is given by 2, so 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And so this is just going to be... the y value is going to be a horizontal line. Y value is 1, 2 here, and it's going to go 4, 2 to 1, 2 to 0, 2 to 1, 2. So it's going to be this line segment between the endpoints 4, 2 and 0, 2. Okay. Number 4, doing the same thing again. T is going to go from negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2. Then this is going to be, you just can plug it in. For negative 2, it's going to be negative 8 minus 4, it's negative 12, it's minus 15. This is going to be 4 plus 1 is 5. This is going to be negative 1 minus 2, it's negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. Plug in 0, I'm going to get negative 3 and 1. When I plug in 1, I get 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. 1 plus 1 is 2. And then 2 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. Minus 3 is 9. And then 2, 4, 5. Okay? So those are my points. And again, we're just going to say negative 15, 5. I don't know. It's like way over here. Negative 6, 2. This is not to scale. It's going to be like, I don't know, we'll say there. Negative 3, 1 is like here. 0, 2 is going to be like a little bit above that point. And then 9, 5. 9 be about there. And we'll make 5 about, I think we made 5 about there. So it'll look like this a little bit. Okay. Probably a little bit of curve there. Okay. And the direction is going to go here because in this direction from left to right, because that's what increasing t values gets you. So basically different t values gives you different points. So sometimes you're asked to eliminate the parameter in a given set of parametric equations. And the way you do that is you just simply solve for t, the parameter, for both equations. So this one, I'm going to make it x minus 5 is equal to 2t. And therefore t is equal to 1/2 x minus 5. This equation is going to be y minus 1 is equal to 3t. or negative 3t, and so negative 1/3 y minus 1 is equal to t. Then I just set them equal to each other. 1/2 x minus 5 is equal to negative 1/3 y minus 1. And in this case, if you wanted to solve for y, I could multiply by negative 3. And I would get negative 3/2 x minus 5 is equal to y minus 1. And this is a line. So we could leave it like that. I could add 1 to the other side too to complete it, but it would be a line. When you have sines and cosines, what you want to do is just solve for sine and cosine directly, and then use this relationship. Sine squared t plus cosine squared t is equal to 1. So here I'm going to say x minus 1 is equal to 4 sine t. So sine t is equal to 1/4 x minus 1. And then this one, cosine t, is equal to 1/3 quantity y plus 2. Then I'm going to use this relationship, so I'm going to have 1/4 x minus 1 squared, or all of this squared, plus 1/3 y plus 2 quantity squared is equal to 1. So this becomes x minus 1 quantity squared, just squaring each of the terms, divided by 16, plus y plus 2 quantity squared divided by 9 is equal to 1. Okay, and then this is, if you remember your conics, this is an ellipse. Okay. Similar thing here. The tricky thing is sometimes is, yeah, I mean, I just, maybe in this case, what I would do is I would, solve for t like usual. So t plus 1 is equal to 1 over x. Okay, and so t is equal to 1 over x minus 1, which if I wanted to convert into a fraction, this would be x over x. It would be 1 minus x over x. And so then I can plug that into here. So y would equal 3 times 1 over x. I don't know, we'll do 1 minus x over x, that form, plus 5 over t plus 1, that's just 1 over x. Technically there. Okay, and so I'm going to multiply, I'm going to multiply by x over 1, right? Dividing by a fraction is multiplying by a reciprocal. And so this x is going to cancel with that one. So this is going to be 3, 1 minus x plus 5x, right? And so that's 3 minus 3x plus 5x. And lo and behold, the equation ends up being a line. 3 plus 2x. Number 8. Natural log. Easiest way is you can do e to the x is equal to t, right? And the way I do this sometimes, if you forget the conversion, I do e to the both sides, and e cancels natural log. That's the whole point of e and natural log will cancel. So e to the x is equal to t, and then I plug that into there. So y is equal to e to the x quantity squared minus 1. And that's just y equals e to the 2x minus 1. Because when I square an exponent, I just multiply these two exponents together. So eliminate the parameter in given parametric equation and qualitatively describe the graph. So it's kind of the same thing, but more of a general form. So here, I'm going to solve for t. It's going to be x minus x naught divided by a. And that same t is going to be y minus y naught divided by b. Right, and so I can multiply by b over a is x minus x naught is equal to y minus y naught. And this is our slope point form of a line. This is a line with slope b over a and goes through the point x naught, y naught. Okay. Here, we're going to kind of do our sine squared plus cosine squared business is 1. So x over r is equal to cosine t, and y over r is equal to sine t. So sine squared t plus cosine squared t equal 1 is really y over r squared plus x over r squared is equal to 1. That's y squared over r squared plus x squared over r squared is equal to 1. I can multiply through by r squared, right? That'll eliminate on both sides. And I'll have x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. And that is a circle. Circle with radius r. and centered at 0, 0, if you want to be specific. Or centered at the origin. Okay, this is almost the same thing, but it's going to be a little off-centered. So I'm going to have x minus, actually this is going to be an ellipse, I think. Sine t and y minus k divided by b is equal to sine t. And again, sine squared plus cosine squared is going to be y minus k over b squared plus x minus h over a squared is equal to 1. So this is y minus k quantity squared over b squared plus x minus h squared over a squared is equal to 1. This is an ellipse. Center at hk. Okay. So now we're going to look at some problems where it's like crossing, where like find the values of t where the graph of the parametric equation crosses itself. Now these are a little bit trickier than generally what it means is there has to be two unique values of t that have the both same x and y value. So the way I would do this is I would look at what equation, like how do I get a repeated y value? Say the y was equal to some value k, okay, and we think that that's where it crosses at this point k. Well, that's equal to t squared minus 3. And so what values of t would do that is t squared is equal to k plus 3, and t would have two different values, positive square root of k plus 3 or negative square root of k plus 3. Okay, so there's two t values that cross the same y value. And now we need to show, do these t values of t cross at the same value of x? And if they do, then that's the value of k that we care about. Or so let's say if I plugged in k plus 3, I would get square root of k plus 3 cubed minus square root of k plus 3 plus 3. And that would be the x value. And if I wanted to cross this, I would look at the x value when plugging in negative root 3. That's negative square root of k plus 3 cubed minus negative square root of k plus 3 plus 3. And so this is the x value if I plugged in this value of t. And if I want them to cross, they need to have the same x and y value. I've already shown that this t value will give me the same y value. I just need to set these equal to each other to see if I get the same x value. So I can bring this to the other side, and I get 2 root k plus 3 cubed. And this becomes plus plus when I bring this to the other side. Well, the 3's cancel. I subtract 3 from both sides. Plus root k plus 3 gives me 2 root k plus 3. And this works because when I cube this, the negative stays out, right? So it's the same as this, but just with the negative sign. The 2's will cancel. I can square both sides. Okay, if I squared both sides, it would be square root of k plus 3 to the 6th is equal to k plus 3. Okay, this to the 6th, when I take the square root of something to the 6th, this is the 1/2. This is really k plus 3 cubed is equal to k plus 3. Okay, then I just divide this to make that squared. So I have k plus 3 squared is equal to 1. Taking the square root, that means k plus 3 is equal to 1. Or k plus 3 is equal to negative 1. Okay, and so k would equal negative 2 or k equals negative 4. And now I need to find what points those are. Well, negative 4 is not going to work because my t value, like t squared has to be k plus 3. So t is the square root of negative 4 plus 3. That's the square root of negative 1. So this is an extraneous solution. How about when k equals negative 2? That tells me that t is equal to, this is square root of 1, plus and minus 1. Okay, and now let's confirm this. When t is positive 1, my y value is equal to 1 squared is 1, 1 minus 3 is negative 2, and my x value is equal to 1 minus 1 plus 3 is 3. And when t is equal to negative 1, my y value is equal to negative 1 squared, that's 1 minus 3, it's negative 2. And x is equal to negative 1 cubed, it's negative 1, minus negative 1, that's plus 1. So that makes it 0 plus 3 is 3. And so you see, this point, it crosses itself at two different values, at 3, negative 2 here. Okay?